You didn't choose what happened to you, but you are choosing the story that you keep telling yourself about it. And today I'm going to give you a 3-step reframe to flip it for good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reflect, Improve, and Thrive, where we grow one day at a time. I'm your host, Hunter Noons, and I'm so happy for today's episode because, you guys, this is a real one and something that I'm actively learning. So I just felt like I needed to just spew out all my thoughts here, and hopefully some of them will stick with y'all. And yeah, but to start my episode, I always do like a little check-in. So I kind of wanted to talk about my week so far. So far, everything has been super, super good. I've been really trying to practice more gratitude in literally everything I'm doing. So rather that be like right now, sitting in my car, just grateful for my car. I'm grateful that I have a phone. I'm grateful that I have a microphone, earphones, like things like that. You know what I mean? Like just being able to actively practice gratitude in all like anything I'm doing. And it's important to count your blessings because I feel like the more you count your blessings, the more you can really be present compared to like sometimes I feel like when I'm just in my head, I deal with like a lot of anxiety, to be honest. So sometimes I'm not actively present. I'm like so far in the future or I'm like ruminating on the past. Another thing I wanted to add, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode, but it's really important for me to throw out there. But I just want to remind everyone with this podcast that I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression of self-improvement content. I feel like this is something that's super important for me to touch on because I want to make sure that the community is clear and understands what this podcast is all about. So, of course, listen to me weekly. Of course, I'm not going to tell you not to, but just always have the intention while listening to understand that these are just my thoughts. These are my takes. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I feel like sometimes we can get so caught up in self-improvement content where we're almost trying to fix everything about ourselves. And I don't think that's healthy, like at all. And I wanted to make that clear. And also, I am not a therapist or anything. So whatever I throw out there, these are just my experiences in my life. And I don't think everyone should be completely perfect. And that is something important I really want everyone to know. I never want you to feel like you have to change yourself completely. These are just things that you can take. And if you do feel like it could change your life for the better, then like that's my goal. That's my mission. And that would make me really happy. I just don't want you to feel like you're not like perfect the way you are. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just something I wanted to throw out there. And I'm going to try to keep reminding you guys every episode just because that's really important to me. And I know that's something I needed to hear. So if you are that person, you're amazing. Just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. This is all just conversations to hopefully inspire you to just enjoy life a little bit more. That's like the main goal. And we're growing one day at a time. We don't have to do a full life 360. There's so many layers in life. So just know that, understand that. And yeah, how are you guys doing? Let me know in the comments or DM me on Instagram. And another little side topic, feel free to like DM me like if there's any episodes you guys want to see or any questions you have. If you do want to start a podcast too, I've been learning so much. So if you have like any questions about that, feel free to DM me because I am more than happy to share all the advice and tips that like I'm learning. Still a beginner, honestly, but I do feel like I got a couple tools up my belt. So feel free to let me know and I'm more than happy to help. But let's get right into episode 2. So breaking the victim mentality. This is really important for me to touch on because this is something I am actively working on. I'm really trying to break out of these habits that limit me so then I can really step into my most authentic self and share what I want to share and not feel so scared about it. So let's just go straight into the reflect segment. I kind of wanted to touch a personal story about how I fall victim to my life, and specifically I wanted to talk about my content creation journey. This is really where I fall victim. And just today, for example, so before filming this episode, I was kind of like, don't get me wrong, I'm so excited to film, but I think because I'm so passionate about how I word things or how the message comes across, I get in my head because my brain starts to get like, I think of every scenario that I can go that I almost just like, I just get really overwhelmed and my chest starts to get a little bit tight. I start to feel like my heartbeat is going crazy and It's hard for me to take breaths, honestly. And I don't know. I think I just feel imposter syndrome. And I touched on this on the last episode, but that's still something that's still like, this is so, I don't know, foreign to me right now. Still like going up, it just feels like odd. It feels confusing still because I just don't have a full plan about everything. Honestly, like that is like the biggest thing. But I just kind of wanted to touch on that. And then also just like right now, I do kind of still feel a little like awkward. It's part of the journey. So I'm not trying to like diss it. I'm just trying to like paint the picture of how I'm fall victim. But I do feel proud that I'm continuing to have these conversations and at least show up to the camera because even if this episode isn't 100% perfect, I think it does prove to myself alone that like I am worthy of sharing my opinion and my voice. And that's what this is all about. And hopefully this can inspire you guys to, after this episode or just at some point this week, you pick up that passion that you wanted to or that hobby or just go after whatever makes you feel fulfilled in life. Like I do fall victim into feeling like I shouldn't show up, but then again, that's not my dream. That's not my vision. I don't want to be someone that's on the sidelines. I do want to be someone that is like doing the thing, even if it's not completely perfect. As long as I'm showing up, that is the real win here. I do have my journal here, and I did have a couple of questions I wanted to ask myself. And feel free, if you do have your journal or just like questions you want to ponder, feel free to like put these in your own life. The main question I have right now is, have I been waiting for something outside of me to change before I allow myself to move forward? And for me, the answer is yes. I do feel like I kind of wait for something to magically happen or honestly someone to give me the go ahead of being like, yes. Like just like that validation almost, because I think it stems from maybe childhood or just maybe just the idea that I have with being perfect per se. Having that validation, it gives me that motivation to keep going. And I know that that's not the healthiest because I want what I'm doing. Like I think the reason why I took such a long break is because I was searching for something or the feeling of doing it for me and having enough self-love and courage to share things for my own doing. I just constantly search for that external validation rather than focusing on the internal, how I feel and like what I want to do. And so that's been a main thing that I'm realizing. Another thing is like, where do I fall victim? I mean, honestly, I feel like I fall victim in a lot of areas of my life, like full transparency. I am trying to get better at it, but I think it's something that it's been so habitual for me to fall victim. I'm not super proud of it, but I do think that's the reality of where I've been. But not where I'm going, because I do have some changes to make and I'm excited about it. And the next question I have is, how do I tend to react? And this one, I think I tend to isolate and almost just hide away, I guess. I just want to hide and put the blankets over my head and just be like, none of this is real. I don't exist. And I don't know why I get like that. I think, again, maybe it just stems from why show up if I'm not perfect. That perfectionism, something that I really should go to therapy for that. Honestly, I should, just because it shows up in like almost every area of my life. But I feel like the fact that I have awareness, that is key. That is already the first step moving forward. Oh, something I wrote in here that I kind of want to share. I wrote this just in my own reflection. I just wrote, sometimes in life it deals us with unfair cards, but don't point any fingers. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do from here? So that's going to be kind of like the main question I want you guys to just ponder on this week, rather that be in an argument you have with your friends or your significant other, or even if work is not going good, or just anything in your life where you just feel like other person's doing the wrong. Instead of pointing fingers, let's focus on what we can control. That's where you get your power back. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you react. And that's like a really big thing I really want to focus on in this season of life, is to really react in a way with grace and more self-love, because sometimes I feel like I'm reacting out of like neglecting my own needs and just wanting to just so that's something I'm working on. That's just kind of my thoughts with victim mentality. And now let's just go straight into the improvement section. I first wanted to touch with victim mentality is a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. I feel like these are two different circumstances in how you deal with situations. You can rather feel like you only focus on the problem. You feel like this is just how life is. There's no way around it. It is what it is. or you can start being solution focused and more of like a growth mindset to be able to think, okay, let's focus on what I can do and how can I make the situation better rather than creating a living hell for yourself. Because what is the point? Like, why do we do that? I ponder that thought every day. Why are we making it harder for ourselves when we don't have to? Because in reality, you do have access to both situations. How can you make yourself feel better, and how can you focus on the solution rather than just focusing on the problem and falling victim to that? Have some examples just to kind of paint a picture. So someone that has like fixed mindset or a problem focused mindset, you might just think your boss sucks, you don't make enough money, nobody's hiring, and then you just continue to replay that in your life and you just focus on every single problem. And our brains are very pattern focused. So once we see one bad thing, we start to search for all the other bad things. We search for that. If we do compare it to more of like a solution focused mindset, you can start thinking of, I don't like my job. I'm going to just start reaching out to people. I'm just going to apply for the new job. I'm going to maybe work on my resume, or maybe I'm going to talk to my boss and see if we can find any ways where I can like level up. Is there any way I can negotiate my pay? Since you focus on all the problems, you'll see more problems. Focus on the solution, you'll see more growth opportunities for yourself. When life kind of gets thrown at you, here are 3 simple things that you can do to really reframe it and just feel good about the situation. So the first thing is name it. So what I mean by this is just to name what you're upset about. So for me, I'm just going to put this in my own example of creating this video. For example, I feel like I was falling victim because I was just feeling upset by how I was wording everything, and I was just getting too analytical and too critical on every single word I was saying. So that's what I was feeling. That's what I'm upset about. Number 2 is to separate it. This is just about focusing on what's in your control and what is outside of your control. What I can focus on right now is just allow myself to have grace, have more empathy for myself, and understand that it takes time. I can't control being perfect today because this is still so brand new for me. I can't expect myself to know how to carry these conversations if it's still new. It takes time. What I can control is sitting down, just hitting record, and just talking and spewing out as much as I can. And what's out of my control is sometimes I'm not always going to say the right things, and that is a-okay, but I can focus on trying to be as intentional as much as I possibly can. So do that. So you named it, and then you separate what is in your control and what's outside of your control. The third thing is to move 1 inch. I'm not saying to run a mile. I just move 1 inch closer to where you want to be. So again, showing up. Just literally hitting record is the moving 1 inch for me. I just needed to sit down, even though I felt really uncomfortable, even though I felt like maybe I'm not ready to have this conversation, I'm at least going to start and just see what happens. Even if it's bad. There's so many times in this episode where I literally just wanted to end the video, but no, I'm going to move 1 inch. I'm going to move one thing at a time. And so I think it's also important to not exaggerate it where we do like too much of a change that it almost makes us feel more victim because it feels even more uncomfortable. So we like try to pull ourselves back to what we already know. And sometimes what we already know is just focusing on the problem rather than focusing on the solution, See what I'm saying? That is just a really easy framework anyone can follow. Just name it, separate it, move 1 inch. Another thing I wanted to just mention, the hard truth is nobody is coming to magically change your life. Like you have to be the person in the driver's seat. There could be sometimes where people add opportunities into your life, and that is like such a blessing. So if there's people in your life doing that for you, definitely cherish them, feel lots of gratitude towards them. But a lot of the time, there's going to be a lot of situations in your life where you have to be the one to decide you want more and that you want to have a happier, healthier, more fun life, but you got to be the one that does the work, and you can't just expect everyone to do it for you. Take some ownership, but see that as like such a blessing that you have the access to do that. I think a lot of times people, again, that do focus on the problems, they just think everyone needs to change life for them. And so they like reiterate the story of like negative, negative, negative. But once you kind of take a step back and become aware that you have been doing that, that is the most powerful change, because now you can be like, okay, like I did focus on that problem for a while, but I can decide to change today. I don't have to wait tomorrow. I can do it today. And as long as I'm moving 1 inch today, 1 inch tomorrow, in a year from now, there's going to be so much change. Another like reflection question I have in this improvement section, something to just journal on, is what in your life have you been waiting for someone to magically fix? And then just a counter question for it. What would happen if you took ownership of that area starting today? Think about that today. Think about how, if you do have more control, how you can better yourself. And if there are areas of your life where you feel like maybe your parents need to help you with this, or your friends need to do this, your partner needs to do this, when in reality, you can't control them. You can only control you. That's powerful. Sometimes that's the hard truth, but it's the tea. It'll actively make you a better person if you are the person that's just taking more ownership for who you are and where you want to go. Alrighty, guys. So I know that improvement section was, I don't know if that was short to you guys or it felt shorter to me, but very, very simple. Have a growth mindset, be more solution focused, and then just follow that little 3-step framework. You name it, separate it, move 1 inch. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go into the thrive section, my favorite part. Remember, the goal in life is to not control every aspect of anything that's external. All we can do is focus on controlling our reaction to things, you know? So we can't always control the circumstances that come our way, but we can always choose to react in a more positive way. We can move with more grace. We can move slower sometimes, or we can move quicker. Something to always keep in mind, no matter what happens to you, choose to move with more care, more kindness, the intention to just flow through life a little bit more rather than actively trying to push things on to people. And just think of next year you. Like, think about if you were to just stop playing victim, you just move forward, you decide to just take more ownership of your life. Like, how much happier are you going to be? How are you going to start talking to others? It all comes from within. I really feel like the people with the most magnetic aura, they're the ones that always take care of themselves, and they always are the ones that are just doing bigger and better things because they decided they wanted to, and they just took action, and they realized that they were the ones in the driver's seat. They were the ones that could make things happen. They didn't wait for anyone else around them to validate them. They just did what they did, and then things came their way. You know what I mean? I feel like you attract what you put out there. So if you're putting out there like positive energy, putting a lot of intention to just growing, I feel like good things are just going to keep magnetizing towards you. If you're putting a lot of negativity out there, you're going to receive that back, and that's the tease. So just be mindful, but of course you don't always have to be positive. I'm not saying that, but be more mindful and more intentional with how you're choosing to put yourself out there every single day. And remember, things are built through small decisions. The small decisions you make actively make who you are and who you're becoming. So just try to make the best decision you possibly can. And if not, that's okay. Like, life's a journey. We're going to keep learning about ourselves through the experience. Be excited about taking ownership. Be excited about becoming a better version of yourself, because that's in your hands. Alrighty, guys. So that kind of concludes today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm feeling pretty good about it. It was a really hard episode for me because I just felt so much imposter syndrome, but it feels good to finally get to the end of it and feel like, you know what, regardless, I did it, I showed up, and that's what matters. And I do have another weekly challenge. So today's weekly challenge is to ask yourself every morning, what is one thing you can control about yourself today? Rather that be, I'm going to control how I talk to people in a positive way. I'm going to control doing the things I wrote on my to-do list, or I don't know, just maybe just setting the intention to just be more present. I feel like anything like that, just starting the day feeling like you are the one in control with yourself, not other people, with yourself. Subscribe, you guys, to the YouTube channel, because again, I do have some weekly meditations if you're into that every single Thursday. There are new episodes every single Monday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And definitely comment down below again if there's anything you guys want to see. And I'm so grateful for you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Hunty is signing off. Bye, guys.